Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the LUMINKEY Magger 68. This is a Hall effect keyboard in a 68 key layout. Shout out to LUMINKEY for sending this out for review, but as always, that does not affect my opinion of it. Like I mentioned earlier, this is another Hall effect keyboard, so you are getting customizable actuation points as well as rapid trigger and all of that Hall effect goodness. On the LUMINKEY website, the Magger 68 starts at $119 USD for the performance version, and then for the professional version, it is starting at $149 USD. The only difference between these two is the switches inside, so the performance version uses the Gateron Magnetic White Pro switch, whereas the professional version uses the Gateron Jade Pro switches. You can get this in 3 different colorways. You can either get the anodized champagne gold, you can get the anodized black, or the milky white. As you can see here, these are the 3 colorways that you can get it in, and obviously, as you can tell, I was sent the anodized black version. In the box, you obviously get the keyboard itself. You also get a switch and keycap puller 2-in-1, as well as a braided USB-C cable, 1 extra switch, and a quick start guide with all of the hotkeys. So as you can tell, I was sent the Gateron Magnetic White Pro switches, and this is what an up close of the switch looks like. One more thing to note is that the professional and the performance version actually look slightly different. As you can see here, the professional has sort of like these accents on the back and the front of the board. The Magger 68 offers a split top and bottom case sandwich structure, which supposedly offers better stability and texture. So this results in minimizing internal component movement and vibration, and this should make the overall sound profile sound better. I actually really like the design of this keyboard. I think it looks really clean, especially with these translucent keycaps here as well on the escape key and the arrow keys. The keycaps here are made out of PBT material, and the entire case of this keyboard is aluminum, so it has quite a bit of heft to it, and it feels like overall just a very premium board. This is what the bottom of the keyboard looks like with 4 rubber feet, 1 in each of the corners. The USB-C port is on the top left of the keyboard, as you can see here. And yeah, overall just a very sleek looking nice board. And obviously the keycaps are going to be different depending on which colorway you choose, but all 3 colorways will have translucent keycaps on the escape key and the arrow keys. Some more notable features of the Magger 68 is the 8000 Hz polling rate, which will provide a faster experience compared to the traditional 1000 Hz polling rate keyboards, but you will never hear me say that 8000 Hz is significant on keyboards because it really isn't. You're not going to notice that difference, but it is nice having the fastest response time on paper. And of course, you also get adjustable actuation points just as you would with any other Hall effect keyboard, and rapid trigger as well. And if you're curious, this is what the expanded view of the keyboard looks like. So let's get this keyboard plugged in and we can take a look at the RGB as well as the software and how easy it is to set everything up. Alright guys, here's the Magger 68 plugged in, and as you can see, this is what the default RGB looks like. Super bright RGB, so really no complaints there if you are into RGB. Alright, before we get into the software, let's actually do a quick sound test of the keyboard. Keep in mind, I have the performance version with the Magnetic White Pro switches, so if you are getting the professional version with the Jades, they will sound a little bit different. And that was the sound test for the Magger 68 HE. Not bad at all. Now let's head into the software here, and this is not web-based software, which is a little bit unfortunate. You know that I am a big fan of web-based software, and I always like it when peripheral companies use web-based software. In this case, you do have to download software onto your computer, and this is what the software looks like right here. So as you can see here, you can set your debounce in the top right as well as the polling rate. Like I said earlier, it goes up to 8000 Hz polling rate. On the first tab here, it looks like we can remap all of these keys, which is very standard. You can also do different layers as well when you're pressing down the function key. And then it looks like you can set macros as well. On the performance tab here, it looks like we have to where you can choose your switch. So obviously I'm on the white switch. So I'm going to select all these and switch it over to the white switch. And then I'm now just going to recalibrate everything. Okay, so I just finished recalibrating and I pressed stop calibration. This message doesn't go away for some reason, but I'm just going to assume that it's bugged right now because I did calibrate every single key. But anyways, yeah, it looks like here you can set your dead zone for the top and bottom. I'm just going to leave that on default. And then here you can set your actuation as well. And you have your typical arrow here just to indicate how far you're pressing this key down. And I'm just going to set the rapid trigger here to 0.1. And then tachyon mode, I guess I'll turn this on just to make sure that I'm utilizing the fastest performance. And yeah, that looks good. Looks like you have different profiles you can choose from here too. They have a Valorant mode. Let me see what's on the Valorant mode. Looks like on the Valorant mode, they have it set to 0.2 millimeters. And they actually turned off the dead zone, which is interesting. So I'm just going to leave it at these settings for now. And then you can also import and export profiles, which is cool. The next tab here is the advanced tab. And I actually forgot to mention that this keyboard does support SOCD. So if you need to use SOCD, it is an option here. Next tab is going to be your macro tab. So here you can record macros so that you can put them onto your keyboard. Next tab is your lighting tab. This is where you can change all of the RGB effects on the keyboard. If you've been following the channel for a while now, you already know that I don't like using RGB. So I'm actually just going to turn that off. But it looks like you have a lot of different effects that you can choose from here. And then the final tab here looks like you can just see your software firmware version. You can also auto run the software, restore factory settings here as well. So yeah, very basic software, pretty much does everything that you would need it to do. Now let's actually see how this keyboard performs. So as you know, I like to test it in Notepad first, just getting a feel for the keyboard here and seeing if it stops registering as soon as I let go of the key, which it seems like it does. As soon as I let the key go, it pretty much immediately stops registering. And then if I feather the key on 1 millimeter, it recognizes that input. So really no issues in the Notepad test. Now let's open up Valorant and see how it performs in the range. But typically the Notepad test is a pretty good indicator. Honestly, nowadays most Hall effect manufacturers implement Hall effect really well. So all of these Hall effect keyboards that are coming out in terms of performance are pretty much identical to each other. So yeah, at the end of the day, if you're looking at a Hall effect keyboard, you really should just be looking at mainly the aesthetics and how it sounds and the price as well to see if it fits you, because performance wise, most of these Hall effect keyboards are pretty toe-to-toe. All right, so now we're in the range, and just as I expected, it works pretty much how I expected it to. Performance-wise, very snappy, exactly the same as my Wooting or even like my Air 60 HE. Pretty much performs on the same level as every other Hall effect keyboard I've tried so far. So yeah, really no complaints when it comes to the performance of the board. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That was my review of the LUMINKEY Magger 68 HE. Very solid Hall effect keyboard. I love the way it looks. I think the aesthetic is very nice with these keycaps as well, and it sounds pretty decent also. And for the price, starting at $120 USD for the white switch version and $149 for the Jade Pros, is definitely a fair price when it comes to Hall effect keyboards with a metal case. In my opinion, it's priced very fairly. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys are interested in checking out the Magger 68 HE, I will leave a link to it in the description below for you guys. But that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.